your fine community leaders here. It's great to see the mayor, the city manager, all the great community people coming together, my partners in the legislature, the majority leader and Senator Horn. This is an exciting day. And where we're at just represents what we're doing today, opportunity. What we have here is something called the Thrive Package. And I think it's critically important. It's about the next step in giving us great opportunity to move things forward. Michigan has made a tremendous economic comeback over the last few years. We've done many good things, but we still have places of challenge. And where we have these challenges, how can we find additional tools that can close the gap, that can allow us to see development happen that otherwise wouldn't be possible? And it's not just about particular buildings or particular places, but it's really about placemaking. Really to create an environment that's live, work, play. And how do we make communities come back? And this is one of the great tools we'll be adding to our toolkit to make that happen. Again, we've seen great progress, but let's keep going. And if you look at some of the poster boards we have on each side, it illustrates some of the places around Michigan. Because this is a package for all of Michigan. Everywhere from Sault Ste. Marie to Muskegon to Saginaw to Detroit. We have opportunities to do great projects in all these places. And as you look around, I can think of at least one. And this was a great effort of all of us working together. In particular, I want to give a shout out to Senator Horn for his leadership on this package. So thank you, guys. So you do good work, and what do you get? The governor showing up in your backyard. But it's great to be with you today. What this package will do, though, will allow construction to happen, development to happen in mixed use, in terms of office buildings, retail, commercial activities, different things to happen. And it'll hopefully be a catalyst to create a long-term environment where we can get higher rent levels, more success, and ongoing things of happening that will go beyond just the projects that this package will support. So I really view this as kind of a catalyst. That this would be a catalyst that will lead to further development that, in fact, hopefully won't need additional support because we'll be so strong and doing so well. And I think you're going to see that take place. And it's very exciting. So I'm very proud to be with you today. I'm going to go to work signing a bill very quickly, but we have some other great speakers. So let me turn over the podium to, again, the person that was one of the catalysts on this bill. So thank you very much, and here's Senator Horn.
Thank you so much. This has been a long time in coming, but before I even talk about how this bill came to be, because there is a story, a backstory behind the Michigan Thrive Package. But I have to tell you this about working with Governor Snyder. My last term in the House was your first visit to Lansing, Governor. And I know Senator Beekoff, my Senate Majority Leader, Arlen Beekoff behind me. Thank you for coming. We worked together to till up the ground, to plant some seeds for an economic garden that Michigan is benefiting from right now. We've changed tax policy, regulatory policy. We've done a lot of different things. And now my first term in the Senate, and Governor, your last term in your office, we've come together again to do some good things. And when I look back on our time together in the legislature, there are probably three major bill ideas that I'm going to remember. One of them, oddly enough, and I didn't have a hand in this, I just voted for it, was the third grade reading package. I think when we look back on our time, that's going to be highly important. The ribbon cutting, the groundbreaking that we did at the American Mobility Center, the old Willow Run Airport, creating the world's largest autonomous vehicle testing site. That was really a kickoff for a new kind of economy for us. And then, of course, this package here. So I just wanted to just kind of point out some of the important things. I just told to a trade journal, an automotive trade journal out of Great Britain that called me up and asked me about some of the things that were going on. And I said, there's gonna be a time where this old cliched Rust Belt terminology is gonna fall naturally from our lexicon. And in its place, we're gonna see the term Smart Belt. And I just wanted to say, all that just to say this, that smart belt idea, that new technology, this diversified economy that we worked on together, with all of the rocky road that you face, Governor, I think that that is going to be the legacy that we'll all remember you by. So thank you so much. All right, so here's a bill idea that's not going anywhere, they said. We did a couple of different things, and I was working with our economic developer here at Joanne Prairie, and Nicole Nystrom came to us with a couple of ideas, and Jared Fleischer was inspiration for some changes in the sunset for the Commercial Revitalization Act and for the Obsolete Properties Act, and that was really going to be helpful to to important neighbors, developers like our Dr. Sam Shaheen. And we got together, just kind of meeting after the meeting, and we all stood around and we said, there's got to be some more than this. Just moving sunsets, is that it? Is that all we're going to have in the state of Michigan? And it was the seed of the idea, that little core group that came together, and then we passed that idea along to our Senate leadership, and Senator Meekoff and his team started working with us to begin to develop legislation, and we began crafting that legislation. And as we went through this whole idea, I was a little nervous about just getting to the governor's office, because I heard that you were interested in a different kind of economic development. But what we thought was going to be a roadblock turned out to be an awesome partner in the governor's office. And we sat with Dick Posthumus, and we sat with Nick Corey, and we talked about this economic development idea. And through that conversation, I just kind of brought up the idea that this may end up being one of the most significant community redevelopment ideas and packages that we've seen in decades. And that's when Nick Corey's eyebrows went up a little bit, and I knew we might have been onto something. And so working together, we ended up. I remember this time, Jared. Some of the numbers we had to crunch, and some of the new ideas that we had to kind of work through. And we came up with some great ideas that took a great idea and turned it into great legislation. And then we had to get over to the House side. And if you don't understand the politics of the House, we really didn't have a good feeling about taking economic incentive packages to the House. But we found a great friend in Speaker Tom Leonard and in Chairman Jim Tedder, who may still be with us today, and Representative Vanessa Guerra, who is joining us now. You're sitting in Representative Vanessa Guerra's district, so welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Well, we began to teach our colleagues. So I regret this, that while we spent so much time crafting legislation, I kind of lost control of the messaging of this and the good idea that we were trying to forward. And so this stalled a little bit in the last term, and when we brought it back up again, we started talking about the real idea behind this, and that this wasn't about one person, about one city, and about one simple idea that picks winners and losers. And all of a sudden, and I swear that the good Lord puts us here to be angels for each other. And this is when the Michigan Thrive Coalition came together. And how many Thrive members, Nikki, did we have by the time we were done?
62.
Yeah, 62 members that all spread out, and the governor pointed out these possible jobs here. And so we demonstrated that this was a Michigan idea, and when we did that, smaller communities came to us, and friends like Representative Ben Frederick, who former mayor of Owasso, said, my city's not big enough to take advantage of this. And so we took another look at it, and we said, what could transform your community? And when we did that, smaller communities started talking to us again as well. So this was something that just kind of grew and snowballed. I'm really proud of the way that we all came together, and I can't say enough, Joanne, about your friends in the economic development world, the Michigan Thrive Coalition that came together to help us promote and sell this idea. But here we stand. My remarks are coming to a close. We're standing in the Behringer building. This building at one time it was here for a reason. There was a lot of commerce that was enacted out of this building. Veronica, you and I have sipped coffee just in the other room here. We ate sandwiches right here in this.
When it was still a coffee shop.
Yeah. Not recently. I've had friends that have tried to start businesses in this building over the course of decades. And this is the kind of building that you're going to see here in the city of Saginaw. You're going to see. This is not unique to Saginaw. These are kind of buildings that you're going to see in cities all over the state of Michigan, all over the nation, in fact. And Treasurer, Tim Novak is a part of the land bank now. It sits empty. But this is the kind of building where dreams come to test themselves. And sometimes those dreams and those visions they perish in a building like this. And sometimes they're successful and they move on to nicer places and nicer buildings. Our goal with Michigan's Thrive Package is to allow Mr. Mayor in the city of Saginaw to take buildings like this and give them new life and give them the ability to play on a very clean playing field and give those dreams a chance to grow and to thrive as well. So I'm really proud of the work that was done. Melanie Ellison, my legislative director. As we go into questions, if you have any questions, section by section, line by line, Melanie knows this legislation inside and out, so I can't say enough about the work you've done. Thank you. And with that, I just say thank you for being here as well, and to give you a little bit of insight of what that means for communities like this. And for Saginaw itself, let me introduce to you a very dear friend to all of us, the president and CEO of Saginaw Future, Joanne Chris.
Thank you so much for your leadership and be willing to move this legislation forward. It really does address some of the challenges that we face in economic development, not only in urban areas but in rural areas too. I'd really like to thank the Michigan Thrive Coalition for all of their work, our colleagues in economic development around the state, and especially here in Saginaw, our advocates, Shaheen Development, Saginaw County Chamber of Commerce, the City of Saginaw, and the Great Lakes Bay Regional Alliance. We've all been involved in this for about a year and a half, trying to get these bills passed last year and then again this year. Working together, we all identified sites throughout the state, from the hole in Petoskey to the old Silverdome site, to the old Hudson building downtown, Elma's riverfront, and
not that far.
and a building like this. So, some of the challenges we face locally can be daunting and costly when you do a development in an area like Saginaw. When we transform Washington Avenue, which is, and I'll flip that off again, but it's a block to the west, we turned it into a medical corridor, and the kinds of things that we ran into were, we had to demolish old factories, we had to clear title, assemble sites, environmental contamination. Because we had sawmills along the riverfront, we have geotechnical issues where you have to go 120 feet down with pilings. We had to relocate utility lines. So if you think about all those costs together, it makes a project really not feasible. You can't move forward because the costs are too high when you compare it to a greenfield site. So that's why we have so much of our farmlands being taken up. And that's why this is so important to us. The new law will help address some of those costs so that we can make large projects feasible. So we really appreciate it. Here in Saginaw, we have a city manager who's going to talk to you in a minute about what's happening downtown with Delta College building a new center just across the parking lot. We have CMU's new College of Medicine here. Those are going to be our anchors for our transformational project, which we've already started planning for. And since I have the podium for a minute, I'd also like to recognize the governor and give you special thanks for what you've done with our programs in Saginaw with addressing crime in cities like Saginaw, Flint, Pontiac, and Detroit. 6 years ago, the governor set a goal of reducing crime in these cities through a combination of public safety and economic development, and it's working here. In Saginaw, violent crime is down 60% since 2011. And Community Ventures has been tremendously successful as well. Over 1,450 people who were chronically unemployed are now working. And unemployment rate in Saginaw is at its lowest level since 2000, so thank you, Governor. Together. I mean, all of it's a piece of the puzzle, right? You have to have safe cities, you have to have inclusive economic development, so everybody that wants to work can work, and then you have to reduce the barriers and the costs so that these new big developments can happen. So I'd just like to say again, thank you so much, Governor, for your leadership, Senator Horn, Senator Meekhoff, Representative Guerra, and all the leaders who helped make this a reality. Thank you so much. And now we have our City Manager, Tim Morales.
The Governor for coming to Saginaw today, and I would be remiss as well if I didn't thank the Governor for assistance with public safety and all of the other activities that the state helps us with in the city of Saginaw. We also work very closely with the Department of Civil Rights on community outreach and our LPAC group. So thank you for all of that, and thank you to the Governor and Senator Horn and Representative Guerra for passing these bills. For a city like Saginaw, having this type of tool is essential to support new development and attract major development projects, particularly in the downtown area. We're very excited about the opportunities that we have downtown, and this only extends those opportunities. The building that we're currently in right now is the Behringer building, and this is the type of building that oftentimes ends up back in the hands of county land banks, cities, and this particular building is owned by a component unit of the city, the Economic Development Corporation. So very difficult to do things with this type of building without this type of incentive. This building could be a part of a transformational project that includes the new Delta College Saginaw Center that's being planned for, and will break ground next year just across the parking lot. Because of the new CMU College of Medicine's location in Saginaw, we have 150 new luxury apartments just a block away, and 4 new businesses in the Bancroft and Eddy buildings. Both of these developments illustrate how projects can transform a city and spur additional development and interest. We're starting to see economic development in our center city, but legislation like this can transform a whole downtown area. Again, I'd like to thank our own Senator Horn, Representative Guerra, and the Governor for passing this legislation. And with that, I'll bring Governor Snyder back up.